All right, we should be live. We should be live. I don't. It doesn't seem too laggy on my end, but I don't know. Um, Welcome everybody to the first episode of my new podcast with my brother Alex. We're calling it the Pop Report, and yeah, we're pretty excited about it. Let me just check, make sure my audio is working really quick. Yeah, I think we should be good. Um, um, but yeah, so the Pop Report, we're just gonna cover some topics, talk about sports cards, and just kind of chill. And yeah, Alex, you want to say anything?
Not much other than that. I'm really excited to have this podcast. I feel like we've been so obsessed with sports and sports cards. I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about, and excited to hear what everybody thinks as well. So, also hoping to get participation from all of our viewers. If you have questions, right, go ahead and just type them in the chat, and we'll be responding to questions at the end of the video. When we get there. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yep. Shout out to everyone in the chat right now. We got 7 people. And so that's pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that. And should we just get started? Or first of all, do you have anything to say about that game that just took place, the March Madness Championship?
Yeah.
I didn't watch too much of it, but what do you have to say?
I was worried that we might have to push back the start time of this to wait for the end of that game, but it looks like it's over.
Yeah.
Baylor seems just like bigger, faster, stronger. Gonzaga's, such a good finesse team, but really it kind of looks like men against boys in this game so far. Maybe something crazy will happen while we're recording right now, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah. I also did want to let you guys know that in this, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, in this podcast at the end of the live, we're going to be giving away a pack of DONRUSS basketball. It's a fat pack. So one of you lucky viewers, it's looking like a 1 in 9 chance, so that's pretty good. Yeah, for the giveaway. All right, let's get started, shall we?
Do it.
All right, so first, I'm just going to talk about some upcoming card releases. I know I have the videos where it's like everything you need to know about blank, but this is just kind of be a rough like little recap of kind of what's coming out, what to look forward to as far as cards are concerned. Yeah, so first of all, we have an interesting one. It's actually called Contenders Optic. Alex, I don't know if you knew this existed, but it's a hobby-only product, and there's 6 cards per box. And honestly, it's like fire. It looks so good. It's so sick. But like I said, it's hobby only, so it's kind of expensive, and it's only 6 cards. And yeah, Alex, what do you think of the idea of a Contenders Optic? I know you've only opened Contenders, but
yeah, so it's interesting. Like Contenders, not a huge fan, but Optic, a huge fan.
yeah.
So I'm guessing that it's kind of like is it like a Chrome version?
Yeah, it's like a Chrome version of it.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's going to be like a step up from the regular Contenders. But if I remember correctly, like the look of the Contenders cards to me isn't like great. It's like the ticket takes up like more than half of the card. Yeah. It's like the player is like squeezed to one side of the cards. I bet that will still be the case.
Yeah.
But I mean, still good. Still
kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, I normally don't like Contenders at all, but Optic Contenders I think is pretty dope. So yeah, that's one release we got coming soon. I think it's in the next like week or so. So that's something to look forward to.
It's gonna be high value because of just the 2020 rookie class.
Yeah, facts.
Is the price point? Where does it compare to Optic and regular Contenders?
It's just a different vibe because regular Contenders, like there's so many cards in it in the hobby box. Optic, like I said, it's only 6 cards in the whole box. I think you get like 2 autographs, and they're really coveted because they just like look sick.
So it's all about the hits.
It's all about the hits, yeah. And I think the price will be like somewhere between $300 to $600 or something. It's 300 to 500, I don't know. But yeah, so it's a high end one. Next up, we got another pretty big one. Select football. This is an interesting one because in years past, Select has been hobby only in all products of basketball and football, blah, blah, blah. But for Select football this year, it's going to be retail as well. And that's like, it's the rookie class with like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and stuff like that. And I feel like this is going to be a pretty big deal. And I think it may make prior Select releases more coveted now that like everyone's going to get a chance to open Select and like see what it's about since it's retail. And yeah, that's coming with the next couple of weeks as well. And that's like, Select is like one of the top 3 brands in all of them. It's usually like Prism, Select, and Optic are like the most popular brands of cards. We haven't opened any Select, but from what you've seen, do you like Select cards, Alex? Like, what's your thoughts?
I do, and it's like kind of interesting that they're going to retail because I feel like the whole branding with Select is like I kind of thought it was like,
premium.
The hobby only. Like that's the reason I don't have it is because it's never stores. So I mean, hopefully that doesn't ruin like the brand of Select. I think you're right. Like the awareness will bring the popularity up. But personally, I feel like I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to get some at some Targets and camp out for some of that to get at a cheaper price than what we would have to pay otherwise for the hobby box. So looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and rookies, like I feel like that's like kind of like liquid gold, the wax for the 2020 NFL class, especially. You can open it, you can hold it.
Little side note, what do you think? Like, do you think next year's class will be better than this year's classes, or?
I mean, next year's class is definitely going to be really strong. I feel like there's for sure 3 quarterbacks. So like this year it turned out to be 4. I remember like going into the year it was like there's 3. It was going to be Herbert, Tua, and Burrow, and then kind of like the added surprise during the season was Jalen Hurts, so got a total of like 4 really coveted quarterbacks. This year there's 3 for sure going in with Trevor Lawrence, Fields, and Zach Wilson. And kind of big news on the Zach Wilson front. So just today, hopefully you all saw the New York Jets traded Sam Darnold for just a bunch of like random picks, kind of like giving him away. Which basically signals that they're going to be picking a quarterback with their pick, and that's most likely going to be Zach Wilson. So future rookie card to look out for. He's going to be entering like a big market, a New York team most likely. So that's somebody to look out for in the future. I would guess it's going to be a slightly weaker class in 2020, but comparable. Very, very much, very similar.
Yeah. And then as far as the release date for Select, I know Austin asked in the comments below. It was originally slated to be like the end of last month, but I think it should be like next week. I don't know the specific date. I think maybe it's on Panini's site. But with cards like in general, especially retail, the release date I feel like is so loose. Like it's around that time for the retail. Like it will slowly start appearing in Targets and stuff soon. But as far as the hobby release, that's more specific. I think it's like next week or the week after. It's this month.
In my experience so far, and we live in the Southern California area, at least, is the retail seems to be coming out about like 2 to 3 weeks after the hobby release.
Yeah.
But not sure if that's like with everything, but that's how I've seen it so far this
year. Yeah, recent like Prism Basketball was the exception because it kind of started appearing at like Walmarts and stuff early.
But not in my area, so maybe this is different. I'm not sure.
Yeah, someone in the chat said that they just opened a hanger box. Let us know, did you get any fire? What's the vibes on that?
You're jealous.
The next release that we're gonna talk about is one that, frankly, like I don't care at all about. But Alex, maybe you do, and that's 2021 Bowman Baseball. The reason I'm not I'm not sure. The release is like in the next couple of weeks. or the next few weeks, like sometime this month, I think. And the reason I don't really care about this release is because you really have to be big into like prospecting like baseball players to even like know who these best guys are. And some people are, I'm just not. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
Alex, what are your thoughts on like Bowman?
I mean, I kind of like it. It's kind of definitely the like nerd baseball culture. I feel like no other sport really has anything like it with like the minor leagues and things like that. It's very unique to baseball.
Mm.
But I think it's kind of cool. The only thing is that it's you have to be very patient if you're into prospecting because like I feel like it's probably a good investment to buy into Bowman when it comes out, at the price that it's at that year. And then 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to be surprised with the players that probably end up coming out of that set. But you really have to be patient, or you have to be, checking every single day, like reports on minor league teams, etc. I'm not into doing that. So if I were to get a pack of 2021 Bowman, I'd probably just open it, look for some of the top prospects, sleeve them up, put them in a box, and just wait for them to hopefully pop off over the next like 3 or 4 years. But it's like one of the rookies in 2021, like Bobby Dalbec, his Bowman first was in like 2016 or
Yeah,
something like that. So that's kind of like the and that's pretty typical. So like, and he's just now hitting the major leagues. So
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
patience you have to have.
yeah. So Bowman's kind of an interesting one, but again, that comes out in a few weeks as well, and it's definitely one that a lot of people are going to be excited about. A lot of people really like it. Just I'm not too big into it. And then the last release is another basketball release. It's a hobby release. No official like photos of it yet, but it's I have it on screen. It's called Origins Basketball. It's like I said, a hobby product. It'll be like $500. And based on how it looked in football, how it looked last year, it's really cool. But again, like don't get me wrong, it's really cool. I really like the design of it. But again, it's just like it's not like Prism or Select, so it's not something that I don't know, like people are going to be investing in or anything. But they're definitely cool looking cards, and you guys can see by the picture on the screen that with this new rookie class that they look pretty cool. Um, next, the next segment of this show, we're gonna have Alex be talking about some of the well, as you guys know, 2021 tops series 1 came out recently, and with the new baseball season just starting, some of these rookies have started like playing and stuff like that. And Alex is just gonna kind of give a recap on how they're doing, and just Alex, take the floor.
So first of all, just some general thoughts on Top Series 1 2021. So by all reports and even from personal experience, it seems like they're producing a lot of 2021 tops. It's definitely been pretty easy to find in stores, even during a time when, it's impossible to find cards. And from, things that I've listened to, it definitely seems like a ramp up from years past. So I feel like 2021 is we're going to find out is the highest, population run of all of these players. So I would just say keep that in mind when we're talking about like some of these rookies, where some base rookies in the past might be considered valuable. I would watch the population count on
Yeah,
a lot of this 2021 Series 1 stuff.
yeah. To like to interject on that, I feel like that's kind of what makes like the parallel, like the short prints or the numbered versions, like extra special this year, is because the base ones there's just going to be like a lot of.
Yeah, and in addition, with the changes to PSA and how they've shut down for a little while, it's going to be impossible or not worth it to grade most of these rookies, right? And so there's just going to be a lot of them, and there's going to be a lot of them sitting raw. So I just think that that's going to just think of that when we're thinking of value investments. Really start thinking about, like Drew was saying, short print numbered variations for some of these guys. So going into the 2021 season, there was definitely a big three, I would say, with the 2021 rookie class. I'd say the first one on the big three was Alec Bohm. So the reason that he was so highly thought of is he pretty much played the 2020 season. And again, this is kind of a common theme with a lot of these rookies is they actually played in 2020. But because the season was so short, they didn't reached the playing number or number of games required to not be considered a rookie anymore. So that's why there's so many good rookies in 2021. So Alec Boehm was a great example. He was on fire last year during the shortened 60-game season. I think he hit like 14 home runs or something along those lines. So he was really highly thought of. But and this year so far, he is a starter on the Phillies, so he's getting a lot of playing time. And he's off to a decent start. I don't think he's hit any home runs yet this season, but he looks like he's going to be a solid player on that team, kind of at the least. So I feel like he's still on his way to becoming the strong player that everybody's expecting him to.
Mm-hmm.
Number two on kind of that big three going into the year was definitely Christian Pache. And part of the reason that he was so highly thought of is because he made his debut in kind of a high leverage situation last year during the playoffs on the Braves playing against the Dodgers, and he did really well as like a really young player and kind of made a good impression on everyone. And on top of being good in the minors, all of those things have led to him being pretty highly thought of. He's been off to a pretty slow start in 2021. I think the Braves, his team in general, has started off awfully. I think they've lost all of their games, at least up until maybe yesterday. They were in last place in their division, so he might just be part of the overall team slumping. But Christian Pache, I still feel like is a pretty good rookie to think about. One thing to keep in mind with him, though, is he's more of an overall player, like speed, defense, average. He's not as much of a power hitter that a lot of the big-name baseball players are these days. So, I would, if you're thinking long-term for investment, typically players with more power and more pure hitters end up being better long-term investments, but that doesn't mean that an all-around player like him can't make it. And then the third one that was big going into the year was Joe Adell. So he's on the Angels, and as he did not too well in spring training, and so he was optioned back to the minor leagues. So he actually isn't even starting the year with the Angels so far this year. So he'll probably get called up relatively soon if there's an injury, or at least by the end of the season, and he'll get some more playing time then. But he's not getting quite as much time at this point in time as the other two rookies that were part of the big three going in. So that's kind of an update on those three. There have been a couple standouts in addition that kind of weren't as expected. So one was Bobby Dahlbeck. He hasn't really done anything at all this regular season so far. I think he's still searching for his first hit as of yesterday. But he had a huge spring training and was looking like a staple power hitter in the middle of the Red Sox lineup. So I feel like he is another rookie to start looking out for this year. The Red Sox in general, I feel like, are a little bit of a forgotten team because they've been so bad just in recent history, even though they still have a lot of talent on their team. So he's one of the guys that I think is going to pop on their team this year. And then a couple other guys to mention that were pretty highly thought after were two catchers, Joey Bart and Kyber Ruiz. They're out west. So Joey Bart is with the Giants and Kyber Ruiz is with the Dodgers. As of now, both of those players as well were optioned back down to the minors. So as far as card value goes, we're probably not going to see spikes for either of those players until they get called up in the middle or towards the end of the season. So there's a few other rookies out there, but those were some of the main ones that we're looking into. You can see that some of them are really right now what you're probably looking for the 21 season is playing time, right? Who looks like they're going to be a staple on their team. And we can see Dalbec, Bohm, and Pache are going to be playing on their team, while Adele, Bart, and Ruiz are all going to be in the minors. So it doesn't mean that they're bad investments, but it does mean that they're probably more long-term investments there.
Okay.
And then last I want to shout out is just Dylan Carlson over on the Cardinals. He's an outfielder there. He's also been doing pretty well this year and looks like he's going to be playing a lot for that team.
Who's your favorite? Who do you think is the best? Like you said, Baum probably.
I would. I kind of like Kyber Ruiz for long term. He's the catcher for the Dodgers. I'm a little bit biased as a Dodger fan, and I've seen him the most, but he like 2 years ago was the top player in the minor leagues,
Mm-hmm.
and even to this point, he still hasn't really played much in the MLB because he's behind Will Smith and Austin Barnes, who are like fire catchers. It's going to be really hard for him to get playing time.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd be somebody like as a long-term sleeper that I definitely think about. But for this year, I feel like if I were to guess like rookie of the year, I feel like Alec Bohm would be my pick right now.
Okay. So yeah, there you guys go. That's your top series 2021 rookie recap is what we can call it, which is pretty good. I'm curious to see what rookies will be in Series 2, but we'll just have to wait and see for that.
I would guess. I have some guesses.
Yeah.
I feel like Cabrian Hayes, like
True.
The rookie that is starting to pop up as well. He had a really good like first game or something along those lines, and so he'll probably be in Series 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I feel like that's an obvious one we should see. All right. So next thing that we want to talk about is something that a lot of you guys may not actually be too familiar with. I actually am not familiar with it at all. But just a couple weeks ago, my brother hit me up and said that Max Verstappen, who's like an F1 racer, is like an interesting card to look at. Should I share our story, like what happened with that?
Yeah.
So we bought his card on eBay for $30. The F1 season started just like a few days later, and it's now going for it was going for like $150. I haven't checked in the last couple of days, but yeah. So that's kind of something that's crazy, and it just kind of represents that Formula One cards are seeing a huge like boom in popularity right now. And they're like going crazy in price, and it's just something pretty interesting. You actually like watch the Netflix show and like watch some of the races and stuff. Like, give me your top 3 F1 racers to watch. Give me that.
All right, definitely. So first off, with F1, I think it's a good investment because it's kind of like soccer. I mean, it's not nearly as big as soccer, but it's an international sport. So it's not huge in the U.S., but we're starting to see the boom of soccer cards, which we also know is not huge in the U.S., but it's huge internationally. So I feel like F1 can definitely follow the same trend. And for those of you that feel like, oh, I don't know anything about F1, etc., you can learn. All you have to do is go to Netflix and watch Drive to Survive. You can binge watch all 3 seasons now in probably a day, and you'll know everything that you need to know about F1, and you'll know what drivers you love, which drivers you hate, which are good drivers, which are bad drivers, etc. So I would recommend doing that crash course on F1 and then diving into the investing world. As far as the players to watch, or the drivers to watch, I'll give you kind of the 3 main drivers. Number 1 is going to be Lewis Hamilton. Most of you have probably heard of Lewis Hamilton. He's probably the most famous F1 racer maybe ever. Maybe there's some old guys out there like Michael Schumacher who might beg to differ, but he's won, I think, the last 7, maybe 8 championships in a row, and he's just like a stud. I think he's also a DJ. He's all about like world peace, and so like everybody loves him. Even he's already expensive as far as the card market goes, but that's still probably a good investment because he's kind of like the LeBron James of F1, basically. Yeah. Number 2 is going to be Max Verstappen. My opinion, he's the best pure driver out there. He's just like purely focused on driving. He's not like hung up in all the like glitz and glamour of like F1, etc. He's just like focused on getting wins and just seems like really into it. He races for Red Bull, which historically has been the second to third, fastest team out there. But this year there's been some rule changes with the engines, and Red Bull might be the same speed as Mercedes, which is the team that Lewis Hamilton is. That's the case, and Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are in the same speed car. I feel like Max Verstappen might take him this year. So that was part of the reason that I hit you up to make a card investment. I was thinking if the rule changes, he has he could be the favorite, and right now he was at that point, and probably even now, is way undervalued compared to like Lewis Hamilton. And then the third person to watch is Danny Ricciardo. So he's kind of like I call him like the playboy of the F1 drivers. I don't know if like that's actually true, but he's just a fun guy, like has a great personality. He switches teams like every year, and like the ladies love him, and he's like kind of that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he's a really good driver. He hasn't really in the last couple of years been on any good teams, but wherever he goes, the like paparazzi follows. So he'd be another person to look into for card investments, I'd say.
Okay. And then another thing that's kind of interesting about Formula One cards is they're just releasing Topps Chrome Formula One, which is just like, it just kind of shows that the hype is like coming. Like I feel like with that release, it'll even go higher. Like it'll get more hyped. But yeah, so that's something that you guys should just kind of be out on lookout for, is like Formula One cards. And if you're looking to like maybe invest in a card, I don't know, I can't give that advice, but like it's definitely something that the price is going to change soon, whether it goes up or down, we'll see. Next topic, are we ready to get on to the next topic?
Yeah.
All right, I know a lot of the people in the chat right now are here for basketball, because I feel like a lot of my videos do well for basketball. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about now. We're going to be talking basketball cards, and we're just going to be talking some basketball cards that I think will be interesting to watch. And Alex, do you have some that you want to talk about in a little bit?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
we got a question. Are these F1 cards hard to come by in stores like the other cards, or are they more gettable? The Topps Chrome release, I think it's going to be hobby only, but it's like $150 retail, and it's reselling for like $600. So it's definitely going to be hard to find for the lowest price, but I don't think you'll be able to find it at Targets and Walmarts. Some of the cards, they're called Topps Now, which is actually one of the cards that we have, and they actually are the ones that have gone up a lot because they're the only F1 cards available as of now. And those ones are actually available on Topps website for like a full day. So this card that we bought, it was available on, from what I understand, it was available on Topps' site for like a full day or full 2 days or something like that. And because not many people knew about it or like were interested in it, the print run isn't too high, and that's why it kind of has some value. But yeah, so that's there you go for F1. Let's talk basketball. I have a few cards or players that I thought were just kind of interesting to watch, meaning that I think maybe they'll go up in value or something. We'll see. First of all is going to be the most generic answer you will hear or see. And it doesn't really have to do with the playoffs or anything. It's just in general. I think Zion will go up quite a bit, like soon. And the reason I say that is because I feel like Zion and Luka, they're kind of like the faces of modern basketball cards. So as the playoffs come, I think basketball hype in general is just going to go up. And therefore, I think the faces of modern basketball cards will go up. And I think the reason that Zion and Luka and even like Ja Morant can be considered the faces of modern basketball cards is because they kind of were the rookie cards when the card scene was like starting to pop, like starting to get really popular. Does that make sense, Alex? Or do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I would agree, because it's like part of the reason that the card market has gotten so hyped is because of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like kind of like proves that, even regardless of their play, even though they're great players, just like from a marketing perspective, etc., they pull people in, right? So I would say like obviously a lot of like depending on health and all of those types of things, but I would agree that they seem to have that factor that like brings people's like attention.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the fact that he's been playing like really good and his prices have gone down shows that just modern basketball cards in general have kind of gone down in the middle of the season as like people have kind of gotten bored of like the regular season, and I think it'll just go back up for the playoff time.
I got a comment though.
Yeah.
So, because that might be a different story with Luka and say Zion there. Because I agree in the long-term prospects, definitely.
Yeah.
But if I was thinking about like a little bit more short-term, I don't know if the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs.
No, but I'm saying I don't think that matters. I think just modern basketball cards in general are just going to go back up in popularity based on play.
I agree with that overall, but I think if we remember last year with Luka, that's kind of part of what made him become like crowned the next GOAT is because of his taking over in the playoff series.
Yeah.
You know, and Zion won't have that this year.
Yeah.
But he still might have that again this year. Like I feel like that could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I think the hype will increase like as the playoffs approach. So I think even if he's not in the playoffs, like I just think throughout the course of the rest of the regular season, like basketball cards in general are just going to go up a little bit. Yeah. All right, next player that I wanted to talk about, DeAndre Ayton. He's kind of the opposite story in my opinion. Like I think he's going to like be popular because the Suns are going to make the playoffs and be good. And he's like pretty low right now, like a PSA 10 of him. What I was going to say about Zion, a PSA 10 is $655. And when basketball cards were at their peak, like people were hyped for the season during Christmas time, he was $1,000. So he's gone down quite a bit just because basketball cards have kind of gone down a little bit. DeAndre Ayton, his current PSA 10 Prism is $120, and his peak was in Christmas time as well for $200. Every player's peak was like during that time, just because the season was about to get going. And the reason that I think Ayton will be good is because he's on a good team. I think he's a good player, and I think the Suns are going to make some noise potentially. What do you think? What do you think about Ayton?
Yeah, I would agree. Like he's a little bit down right now, and I feel like when it gets to the playoffs, like a lot more people are going to be watching Phoenix.
Yeah.
Right now, like they're like one of the favorites.
Yeah.
You know, especially with Lakers, like injuries and things like that. They will like probably win potentially a couple playoff series, and he might be like the third best player on that team.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you remember, like Chris Paul, he always makes the center like really good.
Yeah.
Like DeAndre Ayton and Blake Griffin, like he made them like really good, kind of just from his own playmaking ability. So I feel like he might have that effect on Ayton also.
Yeah. So the last player that I wanted to talk about, let's see. I think De'Aaron Fox is the third interesting player to watch because the Kings, they're on the brink. They may make the playoffs depending on how there's like a new like the play-in system. They may make the playoffs, and
low though. They're still pretty low.
No, but like if you look at their games, they have a chance. Like I feel like a 20% chance or something like that. And I feel like that anticipation towards the playoffs will make his cards go like up quite a bit. Like I feel like just he's undervalued in general, just because the Kings are like not a popular team at all. And I think his optic in particular, I think it looks really cool. So I think I've seen a lot of talk on like social medias and stuff, like saying that De'Aaron Fox is like an interesting investment to look at. So like I feel like I've just seen his name more, and whenever I see a player's name more, I feel like their hype is going to go up, and I think their price is going to go up. Do you know anything about Fox or any thoughts on De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah, I feel like he's a good long-term investment. I'm a little bit more skeptical on like the short-term side for him because like the Kings are like such a shit show. They're like, there's like good stuff going on there. But he is the best player on that team, and he's really talented. He's like so fast. He reminds me of like John Wall before he got injured. Like he's just like one of the fastest players in the NBA. If he got traded, I feel like his value would just skyrocket.
Yeah.
He's a good buy because he's low right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. What players do you have that you think are interesting?
So I didn't really prepare any NBA players, but a couple that come to the top of mind. One is Dennis Schroder.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of undervalued throughout his career, even though he did win Rookie of the Year, his rookie year, which a lot of people forget. But he's been like, just because he was on Atlanta for a while, he hasn't really been on a good team. And now he's on the Lakers, which is like a super good team, and he's more of a role player. But watching him play this year, like I realized how good at like the pick and roll game he is, which is really all the modern NBA is like get your athletic big man to come set a screen for you, do a nice pick and roll, maybe kick it out to him, or you drive to the rim, and he's like one of the best at that. And he's somebody who's interesting, kind of along the same vein as Ayton, where he's going to get deep in the playoffs just because of the teammates that he has around him, and he's going to be, in the starting lineup for the Lakers as they potentially contend for a championship. And I think people are going to be surprised at how good he is just because he hasn't gotten that much love on the national stage once he starts playing on national TV every night.
Yeah.
So he'd be somebody to look into that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. Just wanted to clarify something. Realistically, I don't think the Kings will make the playoffs, but they still have a chance, and I just think his hype is going to go up. So that's just my explanation for De'Aaron Fox.
I feel like with like the playoffs with the new system that they have,
it's like top 10 teams, right?
Yeah, so I think it's
yeah, it's top 10. Like 7, I think 7 through 10 do the play-in thing.
Like a play-in turn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's good because otherwise, like in previous seasons, like a team like the Kings was probably thinking by now and like trying to lose games.
Yeah.
But like they probably do like percentage-wise have like 20% or something. Yeah. So might keep things interesting for the rest of the year.
All right. So that's what we got for basketball talk. Let's see. Next, we don't really have anything. Wait, am I tripping? We don't have any. That's pretty much it, right?
Do you want to do some of our recent cops?
Yes. Okay. Talk about. I don't really have too many recent cops. I on starstock.com, which is like the website where you can like buy players and buy cards and stuff like that. I've been. I bought. What's it called? Kevin Porter Jr. and his price. I bought 3 of him. His price went way up after I bought him because he played really well. And then it's just been dropping just because the initial hype has kind of died down. But I'm just going to keep holding it. And then another recent cop is DeAndre Hunter because he had a good start to the season. He's been injured, just kind of like in and out. And then I feel like once he's like healthy and consistent again, he'll go back up. So that's just kind of why I bought in on that. But you have some way more notable cops if you want to talk about those.
Over their joint decisions, so it wasn't just me.
Oh yeah, joint decisions. Yeah, true.
I did go a couple weekends ago to a card show for the first time, and that was great to be able to pick up some like PSA slab stuff, which we don't, because the process of getting things graded ever since we started in the hobby has always been such a hassle. It was nice to just like kind of purchase some of the PSA slab stuff. So a couple of the things that I bought recently at a card show. One that I'll show off here is a PSA 9 of the Prism for Jonathan Isaac. So this is kind of a sleeper long-term cop. He's obviously been injured, or maybe not obviously, but he's been injured all year this year, so you probably haven't heard Isaac's name very much. Part of the reason I was able to get such a good deal on this card. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of the sleeper potential, like Giannis potential with Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, I've seen videos like that.
Yeah, I feel like the Magic are really hitting like the reset button, and they're gonna like reemerge with him as potentially their main star player. So it's definitely a little bit of a gamble, but he's so low right now because he's injured and nobody's thinking about him. That now might be a good time to look into that for a potential long-term investment. Looking a couple years down the road.
I feel like even if we wanted to, like we could like wait until right before he's about to play, and that would be like a high for him. I feel like
that takes like the risk out of it in a sense. Right? So you can decide to do that or hold on and see how he turns out.
Yeah.
On the baseball side of things, one that I made on StarSwap, the same that Drew was mentioning recently, was Corey Seager. So that's a big. I feel like he's gonna win MVP this year. That's like my bold prediction is he's gonna be the National League MVP. But he's really undervalued because he's hidden behind Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger over on the Dodgers, and he's not quite as hidden anymore because he did so well in the World Series last year, and then he had such a good spring training.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's still way undervalued if you look at his prices compared to Bellinger and Betts. And I think I would put my money on him to win MVP this year. So Corey Seager. And then also on the baseball side, this one's maybe a little bit more on the obvious side, but definitely a Juan Soto investment is probably a staple if you're really into baseball. I'd say maybe him and Tatis are the two most hyped players, currently in the baseball environment. And this PSA 10 of his rookie debut card, I would say is an undervalued version of Juan Soto's card. It, to me, looks sicker than the regular rookie card for him that is mostly thought of as his true rookie card. So if you're thinking of a collection piece for, a blue chip, top 3 MLB player, something that you can place and show off, really like the rookie debut 2018 Topps update for Juan Soto there. So those are some of our cops as of recent.
Yeah. Wait, did you show Kuzma?
I didn't, but I'll show it real quick because this is another on the NBA side. PSA 9 investment on the Prism for Kyle Kuzma. I feel like this is a little, we did as Laker fans, even though we don't love Kyle Kuzma.
He's been kind of doing good.
He's been really good. When he started off his career, right, he was kind of tasked as being like a scorer and playmaker, which he's just not that type of guy. But now with like LeBron and AD kind of putting him in his place, he's like becoming like one of the best like role players.
Yeah.
So I could see a world where he excels, gets experience as a role player, and then at some point emerges as a little bit more of a star. But he's another good person that's going to be getting a ton of playoff exposure in the next couple of months. So probably we'll see price increases, as he gets more and more national TV time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the podcast. But we do have some questions that we'll try to answer right now. One of my local card collectors buying all the Pokashevsky he can find, saying he could be the next Dirk. Know he's had some good game thoughts on him. I've actually seen a lot of hype for it. Alex, you know this guy on the Thunder?
I honestly don't, but I know Poku, and I know he's like good. That's
I literally haven't watched him play, really. I just have seen some stats and stuff like that, and I'm intrigued. After this, I'm gonna watch some highlights or something to see what's good with him. But
he's on the Thunder, right?
He's on the Thunder. He's a rookie. If you pull him out of like hoops or something, it's like a picture and he looks like super skinny. It's like kind of funny. But another question in the comments, spam some questions if you got some questions. We'll kind of take this time to answer some questions before we give the DONRUSS Fat Pack. Drew, what do you think the best type of format of cards are best to buy? Hangers, Fat Packs, Blasters, Mega, and all that good stuff. Alex, I'll let you answer in a sec on this one, but I'll say my personal favorite is hangers. People say there's an expression that goes around in the card community, hangers are bangers. And I think that hangers are like the best. I feel like just from watching people on YouTube open them, I feel like I haven't opened enough to pick one of those, but by the breaks I've seen on YouTube and like I would say hanger boxes are like the best. Alex, what is your preference?
Yeah, so I agree. Like hangers, you get some good hits, and I feel like they're always better than I expect. But I do not like the process of opening a hanger box because it's like got this box, and then it's just like a stack of cards.
Yeah,
I like the idea of like opening up the packs a little bit better, which I don't know. That's just style.
So you like a blaster box or like a mega box or?
personally of the belief that like the bigger the better.
The bigger the better.
Like the way that things are priced is typically you're getting a better price per card the bigger the box that you're getting.
Yeah.
Right? So especially if you're looking at the retail format where it just goes up on like $20 increments pretty much.
Yeah.
I would go for the bigger ones if you feel confident about that brand and that type of card.
Yeah. Okay. All right, the next question that we have is an interesting one. Like on the state of the card community, like in general, do you think there are more card sellers than there are buyers? And like, do you think that would be an issue going forward? What do you think, Alex?
I feel like there's so many people doing both because I feel like I know from my personal experience, like you and I are doing a lot of both, right? We're buying a lot of cards and then we're also selling a lot of cards, and I feel like that's part of the fun that a lot of people have out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot more buyers out there because there's a lot of people that don't know very much about like,
especially for like the really high end cards. People just want like a really cool like LeBron rookie card or something like that. I would say there's like a lot of high end buyers for that kind of stuff. But with like these rookies and stuff, a lot of them are probably investors just for like long term hold. But there's definitely a lot of people that actually like collecting and like as an art piece, I would say.
Yeah. And then, to be honest, there's a lot of people that are kind of just in it to turn cards around and try to like make profits.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, a lot of people like hate on that, like, oh, you're just making money off of the card market, etc. But I think that helps everybody, right? If there's people that are buying and selling, things like daily, right? That makes the card market more liquid, right? And more of a real market. That's like one of the things about like the stock market, which makes it such a convenient market to trade on, is you can so easily, buy and sell shares, partial shares. You can sell it today, buy it tomorrow, etc. You don't have to wait for a buyer. Mm-hmm. So as more and more sophistication and more people are flipping cards, that really helps actually with the liquidity, right? So if like you have a card that you've held on for a couple of years and you want to sell it, right? If there's a lot of flippers out there, you're probably going to sell it right away, right? But if it's more of a dead market, you might have to wait a couple of months to move it. So I think a lot of the people that are out there chasing money, while they may or may not be successful, it helps the hobby overall. Actually,
another question we got: do you think there should be more separate packs of affordable cards for kids, where there can be a large quantity instead of these really expensive boxes and packs? That's kind of like a hard question because I feel like, I don't know, the fact that a lot of things are kind of expensive and hard to get make it more desirable for like even the kids. Like I feel like if there was a pack that was so readily available like that, I don't know if it would be as that popular. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I feel like for the retail format, it's really, if you can get things at retail prices, box is even a kid can afford like a blaster box, $20 blaster box. So I feel like more the problem is like how quickly they're getting scooped up. Targets, because even when they do leave individual packs that do sell for like $2 to $3, like the NBA hoops packs and the DONRUSS packs, those probably sell for $3. It's just going to be so hard to find it at that price. So I feel like a strategy that some of the brands could do is they could sell more individual packs and still have those same buyer limits. Like you can only get 3, etc. So imagine if that applied to like single packs rather than like boxes. That would spread the love out a lot more without creating more supply. But yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I think that like stores are already trying to do that. Like they're putting that into place, the limits, like even with like the individual packs. I think most stores there's a limit. I know my Target, like even the $2 DONRUSS packs that I bought, I was only allowed to buy 2. So I think that stores are starting to pick up on that, but there just has to be another way because I still think that things are gonna get scooped up just too fast. We're getting some more questions here. Yeah, Nicholas kind of asked like a similar question what we were talking about. I think the real question is why are people buying? Are there more collectors or more investors? And we kind of touched on that, but I think I think it's a balance. I'm going to say there's a balance between the two, but right now maybe more investors, and it may affect like the card market a little bit, but I don't think it will be like the demise of it or anything. What do you think?
Yeah. I I honestly think like it doesn't really matter
Yeah,
as like
yeah,
they're all there's collectors and there's investors, and there will probably always be both.
yeah.
And maybe right now the investors are driving a lot of the like increased prices and things like that. But I would say the fact that there are collectors points to the long term success of card investing. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, yes, it's kind of peaked recently, but it's not a new thing, right? Like we both invested, or not invested, I guess, but we collected cards when we were kids. Our parents' generation collected cards, even our grandparents' generation collected cards. So it's not a new thing to
Yeah.
collect. Yes, maybe investors are causing it to be inflated right now, but I still like the long-term prospects given how long the industry has been around.
Yeah. Next question we got from Martin. What do you think will happen with players that have already been put into the Hall of Fame, like Shaq? I think that these players will slowly continue to kind of like go up, but they'll kind of reflect the popularity of cards as a whole. Like I think if cards continue to get more and more popular, they'll kind of just go up with the card market as a whole. But I don't think they'll like go down like a huge number. Like I don't think anything drastic will happen to like the legends, but I don't think they'll. I feel like they spiked recently, but I'm not sure if we'll see that again soon. I just think that they kind of reflect cards as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that it's not necessarily true that once they reach the Hall of Fame, like that's it for like how they could affect their card prices.
Yeah,
And I feel like there's a lot of things that say like Shaq does other than, he's on
yeah,
TNT.
their legacy.
Exactly. So there are certain players that I think probably like their Hall of Fame induction like might be, the peak of their card price. That's potentially true. But like somebody like Shaq, I would say he still has kind of a control over his own popularity, and as he continues to be top of mind, doing movies and that type of stuff, that could be strong. That could be a reason that he becomes like a
Yeah,
stronger person long term than like say a Tim Duncan, right?
yeah. Okay, this is actually a really good question that was actually supposed to be a topic on the show. We kind of forgot about. Thoughts on how your local Targets are doing cards now on Fridays?
Oh, good question.
Alex, would you care to share my targets? It's been the same thing. It's just been just usual. They randomly restock. There's no like Friday lineup, but Alex's target there was a early morning lineup on Friday for your cards. So care to share?
Yeah, so they recently changed the system, and it seems like it's affected all of the targets in my area. Where they're instead of picking a random day to restock, they're now going to restock consistently overnight on Thursdays, and then on Friday they're going to kind of open up already stocked. And at least in my area, the one that near me opens up at like 7 a.m. So, in order to guarantee that you're going to get some cards at retail price, you have to get your butt up at 6 in the morning and get over to the Target and wait in line and kind of wait for it to open. And if you're in the top, at least in a Target that I live near that's pretty big, as long as you're in the first 25 people or so, you're probably going to get some pretty good retail cards. There are some people that camped out overnight, and I saw people sleeping. I think like the first two or
Dang.
four in the line had their like sleeping bags, and I showed up at 6 in the morning, so about an hour before opening, and I got the same exact cards pretty much
As
that
the
they got for
campers.
sleeping. So
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend sacrificing your night's sleep to camp out for cards, but if you're okay with getting up early Friday mornings,
Yeah.
okay with waiting in line, then you'll get some good stuff. And then I would say even if you don't do that, later in the day on Friday, that's when you'll be picking up like your top series one, and maybe you could get some gravity feed of hoops or DONRUSS. So the boxes would probably be gone by later in the day, but you could still get something. So
Yeah.
that's how it's working around here. Curious to see how it's working elsewhere in the country, but I think they might stick with this system for a while. And to be honest, I don't hate it because I don't have to go check Target, regularly. I can just go, once a week. Yes, I have to get up early, but at least it's dependable.
I think it's not a coincidence that they started doing that like the release day of Prism. Like I know your Target didn't get Prism, but I know a lot of like places did, and I feel like that's kind of why they know that things are about to get crazy because the most popular release of the year is about to happen, and I'm curious to see like I'm sure they'll do it next week and the week after, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's already been crazy for like NBA hoops.
Yeah.
Like, and like if you look historically, NBA hoops is like one of the cheaper,
historically,
sought after brands, but it still has so much hype. So Prism is, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. All right. Someone said, okay, this is an interesting response. I think if in the long term, if there are too large amount of investors than collectors, it will make the bubble burst, especially with how scarce it is to get cards of any kind for new collectors. That's something that I kind of like am worried about sometimes is that if like younger people aren't able to get cards or like just regular people aren't able to get cards, they'll kind of lose interest. So that's kind of an interesting comment. But well, what do you think, Al?
Yeah, no, I would agree because like that's more like generational. Like that's like the over years, right?
Yeah.
So if like right now the younger generation isn't getting the same exposure to cards that say like we did, that could definitely affect things in the long run. Yeah. And I think that is something that I would put on like I feel like Topps and like Panini need to like work on solutions there because they've done a great job on marketing to adults basically, but I feel like they can go back to how to keep the keep cross generation or the next generation into cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also something that as we like our generation becomes like dads and that type of stuff, we probably, if we're still into it at that point in time, would introduce it to our kids, etc., and help them purchase cards, etc. But yeah, it's a challenge.
Okay. What are your guys' favorite young players in the NBA? As for me, just because I don't know, after I bought his cards, I've been watching a lot of him. I'm really like into Kevin Porter Jr. recently on the Rockets because he just like watching him play. He kind of reminds me of James Harden. I think he's gonna be really good, but I also really like Zion. I think like he seems like a really good guy, and he's like an amazing player. I think he could be the face of the NBA in the future. And of course, Luka. I really like Luka. How about you, Alex?
So I would say one that I really like is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he is like again kind of quiet over there in OKC, but when he plays, he's like so under control, and he's kind of a guy who plays at his own pace and yet is like still really successful and still really young. People forget how young SGA is. So I feel like he's somebody that I'm excited to watch moving forward. I like guards just because they're like I was always shorter in as basketball goes, so I always connected more with the guards. So I like him, and then I also really love Ja. I love how like explosive he is as an athlete. Like I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan, at least the way he plays and like his hustle, etc. And I see a lot of that in Ja, just that explosiveness and viciousness that he like plays with. So I like him.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. This is actually a pretty good one from Janine. Usually sneakers hit their peak resale point when a famous person wears them and it spikes up in price or it just released. What's the parallel in the sports card world? That's kind of an interesting one. One thing that I think increases the price of a card a lot is when a lot of people are saying that they're investing in that player. Like from what I see, there's YouTube channels and stuff dedicated to sports card investing. And if one person finds out someone else is investing in that player, it kind of builds, their hype builds, and then the price just kind of rises from what I notice. Like um yeah, I would just say general investment buzz can just skyrocket the price of a player. I know even with vintage players, we would listen to a podcast and then they would talk about how this vintage player is underpriced, and then it would just it would go up in price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say? Do you have any parallel to something like that?
So I would say, yeah, a couple of with sports cards and just in general, Gary V is
Gary
I
V.
feel like that's actually more with investing in general. So it's if Gary V talks, and he has been talking about sports cards,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of smart people that want to make smart investing decisions are now starting to think about sports cards. And then another thing that drives eyes to sports cards, I would say, is the big sales, right? So when you get that
True.
flat Mike Trout rookie card sells for $5 million, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of heads, and I feel
True.
that's what's turning the heads of the wealthy investors when they're seeing a piece of paper sold for $5 million. How can I take advantage of something like that? So I feel like those big sales, even though for us as just regular card investors, they just seem so far. I'm never going to be able to do that, etc. That is driving popularity. When an article comes out on Yahoo or ESPN or CNN or something like that, talking about a card sale, that brings people who may have otherwise not been looking into the card market. So I think as we keep seeing those LeBron, Michael Jordan sales and news stories about them, that will drive popularity.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In follow up to the earlier discussion, someone said, how you were saying, it's hard for kids to begin collecting and it's expensive to buy because of the market prices drive up with the scarcity, which discourages people who are more casual or new. So yeah, I think Panini or Topps are going to have to do something about that. And the card market has already failed once. It failed in the, I think, 80s, early 90s with the junk wax era. And I think that these companies have learned a lot from that. So I think hopefully they handle it right. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like one potential way that they could work on it, or maybe they already are, but it's just not working because demand is too high, is by having kind of those premium, investor level brands like a Prism and a Topps Chrome and an Optic, and then you having the retail ones as well. So it's kind of weird to me that I can buy a blaster box of Optic at the same price as DONRUSS or Hoops.
That is kind of weird.
It would be cheaper for those brands, and that should be what the kids are looking for more so. And the shiny ones that cost more to make, etc. Be more the investor level. So maybe they'll do something with the price differences between their premium stuff and their.
That's a good point. Do you think NFTs will come to other sports outside of basketball? I think 100%. With the success of Top Shot, we'll see something like that with other sports. But I think Top Shot is kind of interesting because it's already kind of losing a lot of buzz, right? I haven't heard much about it. I've heard prices have kind of dropped quite a bit in a lot of the Top Shot moments. And Top Shot is an interesting case. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with cards and stuff like that. I think a lot of people were just into Top Shot to make money. They don't actually care about the Top Shot moments. I know myself, I was kind of that way. I don't actually collect Top Shot moments. I was just kind of in it to open a pack and sell the cards. So I think that's kind of one issue that Top Shot faces. But that being said, I think it's inevitable that there will be an MLB Top Shot or NFL Top Shot.
Definitely, because even if Top Shot, the value of some of their stuff is going down, I'm sure Top Shot, the company, is still making lots of money. So there's going to be other companies that want to do that for MLB and NFL, and I feel like they'll work just as well as far as packaging highlights. And I feel like NFTs are a real thing. Definitely, that's going to be around to stay. etc. But I would just be careful as if you're like a collector or a long-term investor. I would watch Top Shots closely because I would guess like an MLB version or an NFL version would probably follow a similar trend where gains popularity really quickly, loses that initial steam, but probably will still be around in the long run for those that are truly into it.
Totally. All right. Okay. Yeah. So Austin said he likes to go card hunting with his son. So I think like something like that will make cards popular in the future generation. Let's see. Yeah. Someone said I'm really not high on Top Shot at all because I think that is a lot of money, a lot more heavy on investors and fewer real collectors. So yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely right there. Is why we'll probably see like a quick peak, a quick decline, and then the collectors are really what drive probably the long term shape of the market. Yeah. But the investors really have an impact on that short term.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think that's going to be it for the episode of the Pop Report. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But you guys, I know what you guys are here for. If you're in the chat right now, there's 7 of you. You have a chance to win a DONRUSS Fat Pack. We'll do it at 9:30. It's in 6 minutes. Spam some fire emojis in the chat. Spam some fire emojis if you're ready to win a DONRUSS basketball Fat Pack. So basically how this is going to work is I'm going to put the intro screen back up just for a little bit. And while it's up, spam some fire emojis and all of that. And then we'll do the actual giveaway for the DONRUSS Fat Pack. So hopefully you guys are ready for it. And we'll be right back in I'll be back in just a couple of minutes to give away the Fat Pack. Here we go. All right. Type the word DONRUSS if you want to be entered to the randomizer to win. I'm going to type everybody's name. Type the word DONRUSS. And I'll add everybody and I'll be right back. All right. Did I get everybody? Am I missing anybody? Let me know in the chat if I missed you. We got Grant, Austin, DDB Mamba, Nicholas, Kellen, Larry, Psychologic, and Janine. Did I get everybody? Did I get everybody to win this DONRUSS Fat Pack? Okay, we got a couple more entries just coming in. Eric, we added Eric. All right, at 9:30, I'm gonna get it going. So let me know if I missed you. Actually, I'll give it till 9:31. Let me know if I missed you. Grant, Austin, DDB Mamba, Nicholas, Kellen, Larry, Psychologic, Janine, and Eric. All right. I'm not seeing any. I think that's everybody. You missed me? Not Eric. I added you. You're the last name on the list. All right. So the next thing that we're gonna do, the list is locked in. The list is locked in. I think I got all of you. Okay. Yeah. I hope I didn't miss anybody. All right. It's locked in. It's locked in. If you're on the list, you're on the list. If you're not, I'm sorry. I missed you. But yeah, you have a chance in the next few seconds if you want to comment, but I don't see anything. But also you're a little bit behind, so. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is the next person to say a number will be the number of times that I click the randomize button. Number less than 10. That'll be the number of times that I click the randomize button. A number less than 10. Someone type a number. First person will be the number that I do it. Thank you guys all for joining this live podcast. Alex and I were pretty excited to do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. All right, first number, DDB Mamba is 3. At least that's the first number that appears for me, and then second we got Nicholas who said 7, but DDB Mamba said 3. So I'm gonna click the randomize button 3 times, and the person that's first on the list is gonna be the winner of the prize. Actually, I'm gonna take a couple of names off that are just my family, honestly, just so we could keep it. All right, I'm gonna click the randomizer 3 times, and the person that is first is gonna be the winner. I know my face is kind of covering it, so let me move that just a tad. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Grant, Austin, DDB Mamba, Nicholas, Kellen, Larry, Eric. I'm going to click the randomizer 3 times. Here we go. Alex, are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay.
People.
Here we go. All right. Everybody can see there's the randomize button. I'm going to click it 3 times. The person whose name is first is going to be the winner. Okay. 1. We got, okay. Now I'm going to click it again. 2. And now I'm going to click it the final and 3rd time. You can see right now it says you have randomized this list 2 times. I'm going to click it the final and 3rd time, and then the person who's first is going to be the winner of the DONRUSS Basketball Fat Pack. Here we go. Larry. Larry is the winner of the DONRUSS Basketball Fat Pack. Thank you guys all so much for entering. Larry, just comment in the chat if you're still here. Comment in the chat if you're here. And then comment in the chat if you're here. I'll give it a few until he comments because I know you guys are kind of behind. I'm gonna throw up the intro until I hear. I'm gonna throw up the intro until 9:37, and then we'll see. If he doesn't respond, we'll just randomize it again.
I just saw him
Oh.
slide in there.
Oh, you saw it in the chat?
Yeah, I saw. Congrats, Larry.
Congrats, Larry. Okay. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Congrats, Larry. Congrats. 1 second. All right, sorry about that, guys. I was just trying to figure out best way to do this, and Larry, just shoot me your email. You could comment it if you don't want to put it in this chat right now. You could comment it on one of my videos. Shoot me your email, and then I'll get in touch with you, and then we'll get this out. We'll get this out to you. Does that sound okay? Does that sound okay? Thank you guys all for watching here. I'm just gonna put up the main screen with my brother just for a little bit here. Thank you guys all for watching the Pop Report. Really appreciate it, and hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. We'll do an episode 2, and I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe it's just, I'm thinking we should do another giveaway for episode 2 potentially, just to kind of get you guys incentivized to come.
Yeah, I think we should. And make sure to comment if you guys have any other questions. We'll look through some of the comments that we get over the next couple of days, and those might be some of the questions and topics that we cover during our next podcast. But thanks for tuning in. I know I had a good time. It was our first one, so thanks for bearing with us. I'm sure we'll be like smoother and more polished, as time goes on. But hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah. Someone asked, how did you get the name for the pod? The Pop Report refers to like the population of a card, like how many PSA graded cards are out there. So like, is that
report because we're reporting on it.
Someone said have him rip it for you. Yeah, Larry, if you want, we could open it for you right now on the stream and then send you the cards. But we could just send you the pack if you'd rather. So just let us know. Prism hanger giveaway. Austin, you gotta send us some Prism to open because we cannot.
We need a donation.
Yeah, we need a donation. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm just gonna throw up the intro again, and then I'm gonna do some settings to save the stream and stuff like that, and that'll be it. So thank you guys. Thank you, Alex, for joining me today. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Up them poles on them, birdie. Yeah.